You finally meet someone who doesn't confuse you. And somehow, that's exactly the problem. They text back consistently. They don't disappear for days. They don't make you question what you said, what you meant, or whether they're secretly losing interest. There's no emotional whiplash, no sudden withdrawal, no intoxicating rush of relief when they return after pulling away. Just calm, predictable presence, emotional safety, and yet your body reacts the same way it would react to silence in a horror movie, with suspicion. Because attraction, for you, has never really been about peace. It's been about activation. Your nervous system learned early that love arrives in spikes, not in stability, in delayed responses, mixed signals, unpredictable affection. This is where attachment theory becomes less of a theory and more of a memory. If your earliest experiences of connection were inconsistent, warm one moment, distant the next, your brain began associating emotional closeness with uncertainty. Not because uncertainty is pleasant, but because it's familiar. Over time, your system stops asking, "Is this safe?" and starts asking, "Does this feel like what I know?" And what you know might be intermittent reinforcement. The same psychological mechanism used in gambling addiction. Reward doesn't arrive every time, but when it does, it's powerful enough to keep you invested. A partner who is sometimes available, sometimes withdrawn, creates anticipation. Your brain releases dopamine not during connection, but in the waiting, in the wondering, in the almost losing them. Love becomes a slot machine, and unpredictability becomes intimacy. Now compare that to someone emotionally regulated. They don't create anticipation because they don't disappear. They don't create relief because they never cause panic in the first place. There's no spike, no drop, no emotional roller coaster, just presence. But your nervous system, trained on volatility, interprets this absence of chaos as an absence of feeling. Because what you're actually experiencing is hedonic adaptation. Stability normalizes quickly. The more consistent someone is, the less your brain marks their presence as noteworthy. Safety becomes baseline, and baseline feels like boredom when you've spent years surviving on emotional adrenaline. So calm love doesn't feel warm, it feels empty, not because it lacks depth, but because it lacks danger. And danger has always been your proof that something matters. If it doesn't activate your anxiety, your brain assumes it's not love. But what if the boredom isn't about them, and everything to do with what your system was trained to chase? You don't fall for chaos by accident. You recognize it. Something in you relaxes when a person becomes slightly unavailable, not consciously, but biologically, because your nervous system isn't calibrated for calm, it's calibrated for fluctuation. In childhood, love may not have been absent, but it may have been inconsistent. Warmth followed by withdrawal, attention followed by silence, approval followed by criticism. And your developing brain did what it had to do to survive that pattern. It linked emotional closeness with emotional instability. Now fast forward, you meet someone unpredictable. They're passionate on Monday, distant on Wednesday, magnetic again by Friday. And suddenly, you feel something. Not peace, not trust, but urgency. You start checking your phone more often, replaying conversations, trying to decode tone shifts that may or may not exist. Your mind becomes occupied. Your body becomes alert. Your entire system is now engaged in anticipation. Dopamine isn't released when they show up. It's released while you wait to see if they will. This is the neurochemical architecture of trauma bonding, not built on cruelty, but on inconsistency. Moments of affection are spaced between emotional absences, and those rare moments feel meaningful because they're rare. Conflict becomes proof of depth. Reconnection becomes proof of love. Intensity becomes proof of importance. Your system learns, if it hurts, it matters. So when someone arrives who offers affection without withdrawal, interest without games, connection without tension, you feel nothing, because nothing is happening that requires vigilance. There's no emotional puzzle to solve, no instability to regulate, no chaos to organize. And without chaos, your brain doesn't register meaning. Peace feels passive, volatility feels alive. So you chase the person who makes you question your worth and overlook the one who quietly confirms it.
Rule card. Your nervous system confuses emotional labor with emotional depth.
But if calm feels empty, what part of you needs the storm to feel real?
Calm love doesn't just feel unfamiliar. It feels irrelevant. Not because it lacks emotion, but because it doesn't match the role you've rehearsed your entire life. You don't just experience love, you perform it. And every performance needs tension. Maybe you are the one who fixes, who waits, who understands when no one else does. Maybe your identity in relationships has always been built around endurance, staying when it's hard, forgiving when it hurts, fighting when it's unclear whether you're wanted. You become the stabilizer in someone else's instability, and in doing so, you become necessary. Calm love removes that necessity. There's nothing to fix, no emotional fire to put out, no distance to close. You're not rescuing anyone. You're not earning affection through emotional labor. You're just there. And that creates a strange psychological vacuum, because your narrative self-concept, the internal story of who you are in love, suddenly has no script to follow. You're not the savior, not the one who survives chaos. You're simply someone who is loved, without earning it through pain, without proving it through persistence, without justifying it through suffering. And your system doesn't know where to place that, so it initiates emotional homeostasis, a return to the familiar level of tension you're used to. You pick a fight over something small. You question their tone, their timing, their intentions. You create distance where none existed. Not because you want disconnection, but because your identity expects friction. Stability feels like a loss of self. Drama feels like recognition. So you sabotage the calm not out of fear of them, but out of loyalty to who you've been inside love. Peace asks you to become someone new, someone who doesn't equate effort with worth or tension with truth. And that transformation feels like boredom only because it's unfamiliar expansion. Rule card. You reject calm love when it doesn't support the person you learned to be. But if peace doesn't confirm your identity, who are you without the storm?